Ashley, what is our next main topic today?
Next up is from Tim Harris. Hey, John, not to beat a dead horse, but in all the recent news about Matt Reeves' Batman, something caught my eye. The story said that Matt Reeves immediately started writing Batman as a 30-something-year-old character, but that was when Ben Affleck and Warner Brothers were still loudly proclaiming that Ben was still Batman, including at Comic-Con. So how long have they been lying to us about this? What else are they lying about?
Yeah, this goes back. Look, this is obviously an issue that, is a stickler for me. Because I was the first one to tell everybody Ben Affleck is out. Ben Affleck's out as Batman, and everybody called me a liar and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the Comic-Con came where he jumped up and down on stage, said, no, don't believe the reports. I'm still Batman. But now what we know is that Matt Reeves was already writing Ben Affleck out at that point, and they all knew it. Now, here's the specific report what he's talking about here. The Hollywood Reporter report claims that the decision to replace Batfleck was made at least as far back as February of 2017, which was when, if only somebody else said that, which was when Matt Reeves was officially brought on board to write and direct the film. According to the report, when Reeves started penning the script, which meant jettisoning the work done by Ben Affleck, he started with a character written around 30 years of age. This means there was never any intention of casting the 46-year-old Ben Affleck in the film. So, Rob, what I do not want to do here is go back over the whole Ben Affleck was out thing. The bigger issue to me here is that what we have seen over the past year or so is like, yeah, it was all true. Ben Affleck was out. Warner Brothers was lying. Ben Affleck was lying. Everybody was lying about this whole thing. But here's the issue to me now, as we look back on it, is that at the time, I said, Ben Affleck is lying, Warner Brothers is lying, but what I said at the time was, it's exactly what they should be doing. You've got a multi-million-dollar, hundreds of millions of dollars of film coming out in Justice League, which was still on the horizon, still coming. You cannot come out and acknowledge that your main guy, Batman, is out after this. Because it's kind of like the whole Swamp Thing, right? Like, I just found out Swamp Thing's canceled. Now I don't feel a lot of urge to go and watch it. You don't want that to be the story. You got to keep the story on the movie. And I thought it was perfectly, even though they were lying to the audience, I thought in that particular circumstance, they were, for business, making the right decision and doing the right thing by making that the line and then towing the line. I thought that's what you got to do. You have to do that. You can't come out and admit that he's not. It has raised some questions with some people about, was it appropriate for Warner Brothers to lie about it? Was it appropriate for Ben Affleck to, do the professional thing and do what the studio wanted to do and lie about it? If so, can we ever trust what Warner Brothers says or doesn't do? And if not Warner Brothers, can we trust anything any studio says? So, Rob, let me throw that to you on this. Starting with the specific situation of the Ben Affleck as Batman situation, but grander as well. Do you think there's a greater onus on studios to either A, be honest with their audience, no matter the cost, or B, do you think there are situations when it is the best decision to put out a PR spin and maintain something, even if it is deceiving their audience a little bit? It's a tough position to be in, but you're the head of a studio, knowing Bob Iger as well as you do. What do you think the right approach to something like that is?
I don't think the studios owe anybody anything until they announce a greenlit movie. And because it's always in flux. You never know. I mean, look, studios are developing. When I worked at Warner Brothers and then I worked at Silver Pictures, I read like 4 different drafts of Speed Racer. They tried to make Speed Racer for decades before the Wachowski brothers came in. I'm talking 1990. Speed Racer came out in the later aughts. And it's like they develop scripts for sometimes years, if not decades at a time. And while now in social media and we've got fans and we're all clamoring for information, I always wait. Don't believe anything that's going on with a studio until they've actually greenlit a movie and it's slated for production. And even if it's slated for production, wait till you're on set and they're shooting, because you never know what's going to happen. Things change all the time. I mean, I think it might have been the hope that if Justice League had been a success, a wildly successful film, say $1 billion movie, that they would have retained Ben Affleck and kept him playing Batman in the context of those Justice League movies, but they could have also gone back and done a young Batman, a 30-year-old Batman. There's almost 2 decades between them, and continue that franchise as well. So I think it was pretty apparent that Ben Affleck was out, but there might have been a thought that will not push him to the curb yet because he's got a pending deal maybe. If Justice League works, and Ben Affleck was really good in Justice League, I thought, they bring him back. You never know. So they're trying to hedge their bets. We're just living in a world where we think we're owed information. I mean, does any company tell you, does Apple tell you what they're developing before they unveil it to the public? I mean, there's a rumor mill, but they don't come out and say these things. Companies don't owe us squat. They don't owe us anything until they want our dollars to pay for their product.
Yeah, what they owe us is good movies.
Yep.
That's what they owe us, and that's where their debt to us ends. I think you're absolutely right about that. And look, I do believe there is a balancing act to be made. Like, you want to build up a trust with your audience. You don't want to make it a habit to lie to your audience.
Sure.
But again, in a situation that's specific like this, I think there are times when, for the good of upcoming movies that you have, and that's your first responsibility, is making those movies successful and all that kind of stuff, I think there are times where it is not only understandable but appropriate, like in this case, where a studio puts out and says false things. I don't believe it's black and white. I believe there are 50 shades of gray, and I just believe this is one of those situations, and I believe there will be other situations like that where it's okay that a studio
And
does
remember,
this.
look, I want to point out, these are publicly held companies.
Yeah.
They have investors trading these companies every single day. And they need to know what the fiscal plan is for the next quarter, the next year, the next decade. So when Warner Brothers is not telling us things, I don't think they're necessarily lying so much as they're hedging their bets and trying to protect their position. Because if Justice League had made $1 billion and they'd already announced...
Affleck was out. He wasn't coming back.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think they would have changed it. Maybe. I don't know. But I think you're right.
But you are right. Money can change the most hardened of made up minds.
Sean Connery,
you're not wrong about that.
Sean Connery was never going to play James Bond again after Diamonds Are Forever. Never, 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 never.
George Lucas was never going to make another Indiana Jones film ever, ever, ever. Yeah, no, you make a good point, man. You do.
Money talks, man.
It does.
Everybody likes a little cheddar in their wallet, and look, with enough money, you can make somebody do anything, as human history has proven time and time again.
In the immortal words of Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, everybody's got a price. And who knows what would have happened there. But anyway, guys, what do you think about this whole situation? Do you believe that studios should, no matter what, should only ever communicate totally accurate facts in their PR stuff? Or do you think there may be some situations that warrant them putting out false information? I kind of think the latter, but maybe you don't. Jump down to the comments section below and let me know what you think about that.